What's up, everybody? Welcome to part 3. Yes, I'm filming these one after the other so my brain doesn't lose track of what I'm talking about. Okay, so part 1, you heard the kind of origin story of how I got into guitar and music and what inspired me to do it. And part 2 was continuation of various bands and out here, what happened in life. So part 3, I'm going to talk about the guitars that I've owned and all the amps I've owned and life lessons I've learned and ex-band members that I talk to, ex-band members that I don't talk to. Let's start with the guitars. You guys have seen in previous videos the acoustic guitar that was my mother's that I first learned to play on. This is my first electric guitar. It did not come like this. This is, of course, has been hot rodded out. I got locking tuners, new pickups, new pots, blah, blah, blah. This guitar sounds incredible. The only problem is that it's got some bad frets down here, and it's a Squier. It's a beginner guitar. Really good for playing rhythm, but when it comes to lead, it's kind of eh. Then I had the green Ibanez guitar, which I had in various bands. Cryptic, Third World America, Paradox, Fatal Truth. Yeah, just choice band names. Third World America actually was a cool name. I forget who thought of that. Ryan, was that you? If you see this, I want to say it was you. And that was a great band name. I tell people that, like, dude, that name's amazing. So yeah, Third World America was our industrial band, which we had no samples. We just had processed guitars, and our singer had a vocal processor. That was it. That's how we were industrial. And then, okay, so guitars, yeah. So after, once I got into death and black metal, I got my first Jackson, the Jackson King V. It wasn't a Rhodes V, it was a double point King V. I love that guitar. It had Duncan design pickups and had a good wang bar system. That guitar I had for a long time. The band I was in, Tortured Lovely, we were tuned to D flat, and it was something. I had some of my best riffs on that guitar. A lot of speed, a lot of dexterity and whatnot. And I think I had a secondary guitar. It was just a crappy Ibanez Strat that I used for backup. Didn't stay in tune to save its life. That was my guitar B. Amps I had, I think I said before, I had that Marshall amp that was like a 1x12, 1x12 full stack. Then the combo amp, then the crate head. I used that crate head for a long time, all throughout the death metal stuff in the industrial band and the other death metal band. Cryptic was death metal, for sure. Tortured Lovely was more, I want to say, black metal, death metal hybrid, but that's when Cradle of Filth came to town and Dimmu Borgir hit the scene, here in the States anyway. Samael was still a thing for me. In fact, Samael was the reason Vertigo Venus used a drum machine. Anyway, so had the V for all throughout that. It wasn't until Birth of a Tragedy where I got rid of the Excalibur amp. I traded an amp through a friend. Well, I don't know if we're friends anymore, but he was the lead guitar player, I use that term loosely, in Tortured Lovely. He had a really kick-ass Marshall JCM 900 that neither one of us knew how to dial in and use correctly. And he loved my crate amp, and I wanted to get rid of it. He traded me that amp, which is a fucking steal. Yeah, dude, here you go. I'll gladly take that Marshall. I wish I still had it. I'll get to why I got rid of it. So I had a Marshall amp. My first ever Marshall, made in England, Marshall amp with a Marshall cabinet. And I used that for Birth of a Tragedy, and it was amazing. I love that amp. It was so cool. It had awesome clean channel, good distortion. Birth of a Tragedy was not a metal band by any means necessary, so I did not need a high gain amp. I used some pedals from time to time, but for the most part, it was just what the amp had. The speakers were these crappy-ass Guitar Center Marshalls. I didn't even know what was in them. I didn't think to open up the back of the speakers and take speakers out and replace them. No one ever told us that. We always were under the impression that if it came a certain way, that's how it is. So I had, I sold all the Jacksons, and then my fiance at the time bought me a Joe Satriani JS1000 in black pearl. $1,000 guitar. Had DiMarzio's. That was my first look at DiMarzio pickups. I had the Fred and the PAF Pro. I ended up taking that guitar back because the bridge system was so terrible. I don't know what it was, but that particular one, the guitar would not stay in tune, ever. And then I got my first Fender Strat, which had a Seymour Duncan. I think it had a 59. No, wait, that was a double humbucker. I think that was the JB. I think it was a JB and a 59. It was American Strat, made in the USA. Another $1,000. We traded it, so she didn't buy me two guitars that cost $2,000 total. We traded it for the, we traded it in the Ibanez because it was still 30 days. We took it back. I had the Strat, moved out here with that. I got rid of the Marshall amp because the tubes kept going out. The valves kept fucking up. I thought the amp was busted, it was a piece of crap. Turns out the wiring in the Marshall cabinet was backwards. So when I went to plug in the 16 ohms, it was going to the 8 ohm jack. If I would have known that, I would have just got the head fixed, kept the head. But I didn't. So I got the Marshall, the one that Death used. The fuck was it? Valve State 100? If you're a Death fan, you know exactly what amp. I had that amplifier. Not obviously one of his, but I had that. And it was solid state. Didn't fuck up. Didn't matter what ohms you were in because it was 8 minimum. So I was plugging into the correct ohms. Had that with the Strat and a bunch of other pedals, and moved out here. Had that amp for quite a bit. I used it for the first Vertigo record, our first grip of shows. The first Vertigo record, I ran the amp line out into the reel-to-reel. So it was this distorted, fuzzy disaster of a sound. But we had drums and synths, so it made sense. It's funny, this magazine out here said we had digital guitars. Well, you didn't know dick, because that was just an amplifier going into the reel-to-reel direct. So it wasn't digital, you moron. That magazine isn't around anymore. So I still had the Strat, and then a buddy of mine, I went to visit family in 2004, first time going back to Michigan since I moved. And a friend of mine named Chris gave me his Epiphone, the black Epiphone SG, which is right there. It is in pieces, the neck is terrible, the frets are shot. It was his first electric guitar. He just gave it to me. Don't know why. I don't remember why. I didn't buy it off him. So did I buy it off him? Either way, I had the Strat, I had that guitar, and the Vertigo needed some better gear, so there was no Guitar Center here when I moved here. So a buddy of mine at the time, we went to Denver, and I had the Guitar Center credit card. I bought PA gear, I bought EMG pickups, because at this point, I didn't know you can swap out pickups. Again, I just thought if the guitar came that way, that's how it is. You deal with what you get what you pay for. I didn't know you can swap pickups. No one told me. My stepdad told me that. He's like, you can swap these out. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he showed me. I'm like, what? So I could have changed out all those pickups back then and changed speakers out, and it would have been awesome. So, lesson learned there. Oh, speaking of lessons, I want to go back. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I want to go back to the band Tortured Lovely, of life lessons. That band taught me not to be friends with two-faced racists. It taught me not to get extremely violent and angry towards band members. There was an incident when we were fighting, as per usual. The drummer said something to me I didn't like. I was walking up my stairs, because my family home, we didn't have a rehearsal space, it was my basement. Walking up the stairs, turned around, stepped on my own 2 feet, and fell down a flight of stairs. Fractured both of my elbows at the same time. And I'm glad I did, because AJ, you're seeing this, my plan was to hurt you. I'm glad I fell and fucked myself up, because I think I would have felt worse hurting you than hurting myself. In hindsight, that really made me, to this day, really center myself and certain things so I don't hurt myself or anyone. I'm not a violent person. I got in one fight my whole life and got my ass kicked. But that changed me. And AJ, you and I are still friends. You're one of the band members I like talking to. And of course, my brother was in that band. So 2 out of 5 members, or was it 6? How many were in that band? Singer, bass player, guitar player, me. Oh, we're a 6-piece. So you 2 out of the rest of the bands I want to talk to. I've tried reaching out to the singer. I don't blame him for not wanting to talk to me. That's another thing. If there's inner turmoil within a band, don't take sides. Have the members talk to each other and work it out, or leave. I remember the bass player, he started a side project that he was really into, and he talked smack about this person, the main band. I should have fired you then. I say you because I'm hoping someone shows you this. I should have fired you then. But I guess the singer and I were afraid that the drummer would go, or my brother would go with him, because they were all in the same band with him, except for me and the singer. And yeah, dude, I should have fired you then, or you should have had the balls to quit, and stop acting like you were our friend, because you were not. You're not a good person. And I'm going to say that again. I said this in part 2. Dude, you are a terrible human being. And now you're a cop in Michigan. Makes perfect sense. Racist cop. So that band taught me what not to do. How I should not lose my cool if there's fighting in the band. How I should not hire racists or be friends with people that are two-faced backstabbers. Not to lie to band members that didn't deserve it. That's me right there. I did that. And I made up for it. I paid my dues and owned up to it. And let's see, the lessons for Third World America. This is before Tortured Lovely. Don't be in bands with heroin addicts. Ryan, you weren't, but somebody else was. And he had an ego without having any talent. And he thought he was, God's gift to whatever was in his head. Him and his girlfriend, who I'm not going to name either. They both thought they were these special people when they weren't. They were human garbage. So yeah, don't form bands with heroin addicts that have egos and girlfriends who think they know what the fuck they're talking about. And yeah, those are the really only 2 bands that have really kind of shaped me to be who I am today. There were some issues in Vertigo Venus, don't get me wrong. We weren't a perfect band. We had some people that left the band, got fired and whatnot. But we stuck together, and I took some of those lessons and applied them, because there were times when I could have gotten very angry and not violent, but yeah, could have easily gone south quickly. So yeah, life lessons with that group and whatnot. So anyways, back to amps and whatnot. So after the Marshall amp stuff, I ended up selling the Fender Strat to buy my first ever Mesa Boogie. I bought a Mesa Boogie F50. And so when the F Series came out, which is no longer made, it was my first Boogie amp. It was great. Vertigo went on to do Run for Your Lives with that record. I did a bunch of tours with it. It was amazing. But it was heavy. It was so heavy. I got tired of it. And then I ended up finding, at the time, used a Mesa Boogie rack mount dual rectifier. Old bastards that didn't have the dual solo and output. It had one. It was blacked out. I didn't know how to dial in Boogie amps. Again, the internet was still a new thing. Granted, it was 2006, 2007, but I didn't know to go to forums. I didn't know to look up how to dial this stuff in. It's an amp. You turn knobs and hopefully it sounds good. I had various cabinets. I got a carbon cabinet, which is what I moved out here with. I don't have that anymore. 400 watt cabinet, loud as hell. Perfect for the Boogie amp. No one told me to put a tube screamer in front of it, or to dial it this way or do that. No one told me that stuff. And at the time, Vertigo was leaning more towards punk industrial. I didn't need that much gain. Granted, the Boogie amp could have backed off the gain a bit, but it didn't have the sound we wanted. I sold it. And I didn't have the proper case for it. I had this like road case with wheels, and those rack mounts are they're not finicky, but I didn't want to break that thing. It was $1,200 used. Now they go for like $3,000, which is fuck you if you're selling that for that much. That's stupid. Ended up buying a Carbon Legacy Steve Vai Signature amp, and that amp I had for a long time as well. It was so loud, so mid-range, so clean sounding. It was a phenomenal amplifier. Had various speakers. I still use the Carbons, but then I got a Carbon Legacy cabinet with V30s. I put in V30s in the Carbon cabinet and didn't like how that sounded, and I should have kept the Carbon Legacy cabinet because it was monster green Tolex. It was badass. That's when I started swapping out speakers and learning, oh, you can swap out speakers. This is amazing. It sounds so much different. Still swapping out pickups. I had a Ibanez RGDX. Because yeah, let me think here. Because after I sold the Strat, I just had the SG, and then I got the Ibanez guitar, retired the SG, and then I got a white Epiphone Les Paul Studio, and I used that for the Run For Your Life tour cycle. I had a V. That's right. I had a V. It was a Christmas gift. It was a homemade V somebody made. Tried to pass it off as a Gibson. I used that for on the record Run For Your Lives and for the tour cycle. A bunch of shows for that one. Oscillation 2007. That's when I got the RG, the Ibanez RGDX after that, because I just had the one guitar. That one still kind of worked, but it didn't really work. So I had the V, I had the white Ibanez, stopped using the V because the truss rod was shot, got the Epiphone Les Paul, and then Vertigo started doing the mall stuff, the gear I had, let's see. Had the Boogie amp for a long time. Got the Carbon amp, then I got the Legacy 3, which I used for, what do I use that for? I used it for Vertigo, Andraco, which is weird because they were death metal industrial, Mark P Experience, Blame It on Rebecca. I ended up going through 2 of those amps, selling amps to pay for amps, and regretting selling stuff. Legacy 1 amp was just too much of a hassle to bring around. Legacy 3 was great, but I didn't like how when you turn the gain up past 7, it broke up and got crappy. Started to get the PV6505 combos. That's the 3rd amp I have. It's back behind me. I had one, use that for Andraco, use that for tour because it had a line out in the back. Let's see, I got a Jeff Loomis Signature V, had a Ibanez S7s, 2 of them. That was my world in the 7 strings with the Ibanez S. I had a semi-hollow Ibanez guitar. The Epiphone and the RG are gone. Buying guitars to pay for guitars, etc. Sold the Loomis guitar. It was a beast. It was just too big. And the playability, sitting down was good. Live was okay if I didn't have to switch pickups. The pickup selector was full arm extension to reach it, because otherwise I have to have the V way up here. Who plays a V up there? So got rid of that, had some Schecters. Had a Schecter that neck was so fat I tried to write my song Suspended on that guitar. Went to the chord on that guitar up here, pulled the nerve to where I have a calcium bump right there. Oh, it's almost gone. Weird. That's been there for years. It's almost disappeared. Anyway, cool. That's a nice find. Sold that guitar because I injured my hand. Got rid of the Loomis V, had the second Loomis guitar, the 2014 model with the thinner body, and had the one with Floyd. That had a ground issue somewhere to where it always had a 60 cycle hum no matter where and what I put in it, no matter how much like copper tape I put in the thing. It was just bad. And then I had the KM6. I had another Jeff Loomis guitar, the 2010 one, which you guys have seen on this channel. When I restarted the YouTube channel, that was the guitar that I was using. I used it in Andraco, I used it in the Extinction before I went to bass. That's the guitar I held on to because it was so cool. It had music in it still. Still have that guitar. It's retired. It's put away. Truss rod shot. It won't stay stiff. The guitar neck constantly bows. So that guitar is officially retired. I had what else did I have? Let me think here. I had a Sterling Ernie Ball string that changed colors, like pink, blue, and purple. I had the KM6. What else did I have? I had some Solars, Solar T1.6C, A1.6, the Candy Apple Red. I had the G1.7, and then got the Nick Johnson Strat. I had a second Nick Johnson Strat, the black one, which those guitars, I swapped the necks on the Schecters because the white one had a really good bridge system, but the neck was kind of meh. And vice versa, the black one had a really good neck, but the bridge was kind of meh. So I thought it'd be easier just to swap the necks and swap the bridges. So that's why when you see that guitar, it looks different than your typical Nick Johnson Strat, because I swapped the necks. Got my Epiphone Les Paul Vintage in the case. The reason it's in the case, I found out that the wiring, something shorting out the pickups in the old wiring. To where when I bought that guitar, it had a JB and a Jazz. The JB started to break. Swapped it out with the Phantom P90, and it was working great. A couple weeks ago, it was doing the exact same thing as the JB. So that guitar's in the case because I'm not going to use it right now. I'm going to get all new stuff. I think I'm going to put EMGs in that. The whole, I got this pickup selector. Everything's, click in and plug in. So that guitar is going to have EMGs. It's going to be active. I'm going to get the 57, 66, or the Retro 77. I'm not sure yet. So that's there, and I've got my black Epiphone Les Paul Prophecy here. That guitar's got some neck dive going on, so I got to figure out how to rectify that. It's still a killer guitar. If you can see in action my latest video, I did a song called Misfit, working title for All the Rage. I used that. What other guitars did I own? Basses. I had a Jackson 5-string bass. David Ellefson, not the USA Custom, the crappy China one. It was a good starter for 5-string. Then I had a really nice, awesome Ibanez RDX. I forget what it is, but it was amazing 5-string bass. It was an S body. It had like rosewood fretboard. I can't pronounce it right, but like Genato neck, maple top, and mahogany body. That bass was amazing. I sold the basses and all the bass gear stuff I had. As going back to amps, I had a Harkey, I had GKX, I had what other amps did I have? I had some other small Class D 800 watt solid state amp. That was okay. Tons of bass cabinets. You're talking like 1000 watt 410 and 500 watt 15 inch. I got my brother's bass amp down here. It was KJ's bass amp. It's a Harkey old one. It's what is it called? Transcendent Attack amp. They don't make this anymore. But you can split the frequencies to have. Let's say I plug into a 410 and a 15. 410's gonna have high and mids. 15 gonna have lows and mids. So that amp's right here. That's what I use to record my bass with now. I just plug. It doesn't have power valves, solid state. Don't need a speaker cabinet. That amp goes right into my interface. You guys have seen the Katana, seen the Orange. I've owned an Orange Dual Terror 3 times. Got rid of all of them because they ended up breaking. Got this cabinet, WGS speakers, stock Orange speakers, they're okay. PV6505, I got a 2x12 in the rehearsal space with WGS speakers. I had the smaller version of this head. I had the original Katana when it came out. I had a PV 412, I had a Boogie 412, Carvin full stack, Legacy, it was a Legacy, the Legacy cabinets, and then the Vertigo cabinets, I called them that. A barrage of foot pedals. I don't even want to get into how many I had. Chorus pedals, distortion pedals, wah pedals, multi-effect processors, the Digitech GSP 1101 I used a lot for Nexus Elementa and the channel. tons of effect boxes, and I still have some here, but yeah, oh my god, so many pedals. I think that's it. So yeah, those are the life lessons I learned in those early bands growing up in the 90s. Don't be in bands with egotistical heroin addicts, and don't be in bands with racist, two-faced, lying scumbags. And boy, oh boy, there are some guitars and amps I wish I didn't sell. The Boogie amp being one of them, the rectifier one. Wish I didn't sell that. And then my Legacy 3 amp, that was in mint green. I should not have sold that one. I had an orange TH30. Shouldn't have sold that one. I bought this cabinet back from a friend and sold it to him. Thankfully, he sold it to me because I do like that cabinet. Guitars that I wish I didn't sell? I don't know, man. Guitars to me sometimes have functions and they have their time with you and then they move on. This is the only guitar and the acoustic guitar that's been with me my entire career. But then I don't use these a lot because they're beginner guitars and they don't stay in tune right. So, I wish the Loomis 7 didn't crap out. Not that I'm playing in a 7-string band, but it was nice when I used it. The Loomis V was cool, but again, just too bulky, too big. Yeah, I like the guitars that I have now. They fit a purpose, and that's what they're doing. So that's it, guys. This one's going longer than the other two. That's my 30-year journey of playing guitar. I'm taking lessons from Bradley Hall. I've played so many different styles and different things. I really love playing punk. That's my passion when it comes to music. I take it very seriously. Was with a group of people that said, well, it's punk. If you fuck up and play, it doesn't matter. Well, it does to me. Play it right. There are some good punk bands that play everything perfect, and it's awesome. And there are some crappy bands that have that attitude and they suck. So, yeah. That's been my journey, and it's still going. Blue Jay has a show in 2 weeks, and I've got my internet band now with Antonio. And Mark and I will play eventually. That's it, guys. It was kind of nice to go down memory lane. I got a little angry, a little serious a few times, but nothing worth. Nothing regretting. I'm very happy to be where I am. I'm very fortunate to be where I am. Not a lot of friends that I grew up with have done the things that I've done. Would I like to do more? Absolutely. I've never toured the world. I've never played a stadium. I've never sold a record that sold more than 2,000 copies. I've played one show to 2,500 people and haven't since. It's easy to dwell on what you haven't done as opposed to what you have done. I've put out many records. I have a YouTube channel. I was in a band that was in a rock musical. I played some of the coolest metal bars to the crappiest closets. Some of the most notorious dive bars in Detroit to some of the most notorious dive bars in Albuquerque. I've played on the West Coast. I've played in Hollywood. Would I like to play everywhere else? Sure. But due to my age and other health issues and medications, I can't. I'm on a medication that I have to get checked every 3 months. I have sleep apnea. I have to eat healthy, otherwise my body gets sick and worse. So I'm still doing music. I'm not done. I just have to find different ways to do it. And thankfully I have friends and family that do it with me, particularly Blue Jay, my brother, my husband, and the great group of friends that we have in that band. Derek, Wes, Luke, Alex, Rachel, Edward, Luke. Did I say Luke? There's 9 of us in that band. Trying to remember. Okay. Yeah, Jeff, KJ, Luke, Alex, Edward, Rachel. Alex. Oh, okay. I said everybody's name. I'm getting confused myself here. Thank you guys for doing this music journey with me. And then now Antonio with All the Rage. I think that's going to be a cool thing to do casually and get out my punk side, because that's the genre I really, really love. So anyways, guys, speaking of, I'm going to edit all this stuff and release it. I'm going to rehearse today and enjoy this lovely rain, snow day out here in the desert. And thanks for watching, guys. Hit subscribe and that bell. I'm going to do a Q&A number 3. If you got any questions, drop them. We'll see you.